let's move on to functions, conditionals, and loops. Before doing that, let's just look at one thing. I wanted to print the type of input. Let's enter the prompt and X, right? So what we are doing here is this returns the input which we enter while running the program, and we are just looking at the type of it, right? Because we need to know that. So declare we run Python program.py and let's enter 34. See, so what happens is this input function assumes that whatever we have entered is a string, right? And this information is useful to us because we wanted to write a very simple calculator kind of a program. So let's get started. So now we know the type which is string, so we need to fix for that. So this returns a string. So what we will do is x is equals to int of x. So let's assume that we are constraining our program to be integers. So I'll convert the string x, which we get from the input, and convert it to integer. Similarly, we will do the same thing for y. Right. Now let's say I wanted to add these two numbers and then print. Let's run that. Let's say x is 3, y is 5, and the answer is 8. So it works. Similarly, if you wanted to subtract, we will subtract it, and then this again. Let's say 4 minus 3, which is 1. So basically, what we are looking at here is again and again we are changing the program as we are thinking of a new calculation, right? Let's say we are just operating on two numbers. So the challenge here is that we don't want to do that, because for every type of operation we have to repeat this code again and again. At least a small modification we can do is that if I treat this as string, so there's a function in Python which will evaluate the string as if we have written it for a variable and assigned to it, right? It will return that assignment if that was the case. So if I run this program, it will still be doing the same thing. So 4 minus 3, which gives us the 1. So what we can see is that it can create a string which needs to be evaluated. We can do it this way. This is extremely helpful, right? So first thing is that I wanted to reuse the code based on the operator which we are having, right? So what we can do is we can also input the operator. Operator, ops. Okay, so now what we can do is we can just concatenate strings, right? Still, it should do the same thing, but it takes an additional input. Let's try it again. Within the program, we want to do 4 minus 3, operator is a minus sign, and it gives us a 1. Let's run it again. Let's say I want to add two numbers. Let's say 2, 3, and the operator is a plus sign. 2 plus 3 is 5. So this is kind of working, but this code kind of looks complicated, and I have actually complicated it. But we can kind of abstract all this into one block of code. Let's see how we can do it. We can do it by defining a function. Let's say I wanted to define a function which is denoted by def. This is a keyword, and every function starts with def. That's how we define the function. Let's say the name of the function is calculator, and it takes three inputs, x, y, and ops. And we will return this evaluation. And now you can use this calculator function again and again. Like print calculator x comma y comma minus. Okay, let's even simplify it further, right? I have this function and I want to do a 4 minus 3. This is how we do it, because this is x, this is y, and this is the operators. And what we can actually now see the power of function, right? Once we have defined this function, we can use it again and again as a block of code. Obviously, this is a simple block of code, but even for more complicated block of code, we can reuse it. Let's say you're going to do a plus 1 plus 3. We can do a modulo. We can do a integer division and so on, right? We can do a normal division. So let's run this and see. Clear the screen, run it. Just look at it, right? So 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 modulo 3 is 1. 4 divided by 3 is 1.333. 4 integer division 3 is 1. So it's kind of working in expected ways, and we have our first function. Let's look at another example. Let's say I want to define a function which sums all the elements in a list. But for that, we need to learn what is an iterator, or what's a loop, and what's a condition. So let's do that first. Let's look at Python interpreter first. So what's a condition, right? A condition is just a mathematical expression. For example, 2 is greater than 3. This is not true, so it will return a false. 2 is less than 3. This expression is true, so it will return a true. What else? Let's say x is equals to 3. Now what we can do is x equals 3. So this is comparing that whether the variable x matches the value 3, and because it does, it will return a true. And it doesn't match 4, it will return a false. Similarly, we can have also have equality, x is greater than equal to 1, that is true. X is less than equal to 1, that is false, and so on, right? So this is basically a Boolean expression, and it returns a true or a false. Now let's say I want to write a program which tells me whether the input is a negative number, a positive number, or it is 0. So let's do that. Okay, so let's say I have an input x, which is equals to, just for example, 3. Now, what we will learn here is that we can use those Boolean expressions to do more. And that is done by if-else block. So for example, I could write if x is less than 0, we can say that it's a negative number, or we can say else if, which we write by elif x is equal to 0, then we can print 0, and if nothing is true, it will go to the final else block, and there we can write print positive number. So what's happening here, right? So basically, we want to see if a number is negative, equal to 0, or positive. So first we start with the if block with the keyword if, and then we write our expression x is less than 0. If x is less than 0 is true, it's a negative number, so we print negative number. So indentation is obviously very Python specific. that whatever, if this condition is true, whatever we have after this indentation will be part of this block. We could also have multiple lines, but in this example, we are just having one line. Similarly, else if, elif, uh, this is else if. So if the first condition is not true, then if this condition is true, x is equal to 0, then we can print 0. If that is also not true, eventually it will just print positive number because all these three are mutually exclusive. So if these two have not happened, this is guaranteed to happen. Let's run this, and it says that 3 is a positive number. And how we can modify this is we can just input x. So now if we run it again, we can actually give an input. Let's say 5 is a positive number and it's giving positive. We can run it again. Let's say -1, it's a negative number, it returns negative. We run it again, let's say input is 0 and it gives us 0. So this is an example of if-else statement. Now let's look at another example. Let's say I wanted to print whether input is even number or odd number. Now it becomes very simple. So we'll use modulo operator. So if input modulo 2 is equals to 0, basically if the remainder is 0, then it's an even number. So it's an even number. If it is not an even number, it's an odd number, right? So it's an odd number. Simple example. Let's see it in action. Clear screen, run it again. Let's say if I enter 4, which is an even number, it gives us even. Let's say if I enter an odd number, 5, it gives us odd. So these are the two examples of using conditionals and if-else block. There's another type of conditional called the match case or switch case in other languages. Let's look at one example. What you can do, you just look at this example and understand. So what is happening here is that the keyword is match, and it matches a variable called name with various values, and depending on the match, it will run that part. For example, if name is car or truck or bus, any of these, then we'll print 4 plus wheels, right? Because all these are having at least 4 wheels. Similarly, if name is bike or scooter or cycle, it will print 2 wheels. And if the name is anything else, it will print pedestrians, right? So let's run it and see it in action. See, because the name is car, it gave 4 plus wheels. Let's say if I use truck, again it will give me 4 plus wheels. Let's say if I input bike and see what happens, it gives 2 plus wheels. Right? If I write some XYZ, which is not part of any of the case, then it will go to the default case, which is pedestrians, and it will print pedestrian. So let's run and see it in action. See, it works. So this is all about working with conditionals, and it could be used in complicated and simple ways. But here we are trying to learn Python, so it's fine. When we look at a more complicated example with some purpose, we'll see more of it in action. So let's move on to loops. So what happens is, let's say I wanted to print hello. I would write this, right? Let's say if I wanted to print hello 5 times. So I can write this 5 times. And if I run it, it will print hello 5 times, right? See. So we can see that there's a lot of repetitive code here, right? And there might be like a logic which I wanted to perform repeatedly. So there is a construct in languages called loops, and that helps us to repeat logic on different type of inputs or situations. So let's say I wanted to repeat this hello 5 times when equals 5. So there's something called a for loop. So how we write it is for I in range of n. So it just says that it goes from 0 to 4 because n is equal to 5 and it prints hello. Let's see it in action. You see the screen, run it here, and it prints hello 5 times. Another thing is this variable I, which is the iterator variable in this case, increases with every iteration. So whenever it prints hello, this value of I increases. Let's look at it and print it. So let's run it again and see. I is changing whenever this is repeated again and again. So it's looping, right? 0 to 4 because 5. This n equals 5. And even if I feed in n equals 10, it will do it with the same code, and that's great. 0 to 9. Okay. So now the loop is running with this range function, right? Which kind of returns a range from 0 to n, one at a time. So let's say there's a different situation. Let's say I had a list of numbers. Let's say that list is even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, right? So see, this list is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And I can also run this for loop on this list L. Now what will happen is that this iterator I will take values in the list 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on, right? Let's look at it. Let's run it. Here, run it again. And see, hello 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, which was in the list. You can even remove this hello. It's not useful for this example. Clear the screen, run it again. See, the list is printed. So what is happening is whatever is inside the for block with indentation, that will run again and again with a new iterator value. Let's look at another example. Okay, so what we can do is, let's say we have a list of words. Hello, world, this is a good day. This is a good day. Now if you print this again, run this again, every line will have a word. So we can kind of see how this for loop is working in this case. And sometimes what happens is that we want to print these words obviously. So for every iteration, word value is changing. But there's another thing that we also want to have indexing of it, like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? So there's a function called enumerate. So we can use it like this. And this returns a tuple, which would be like I comma item. And we will print I comma item. Let's see what happens. So what we are doing here is that we are enumerating over the list L, and this kind of returns a pair of items. It will be like first item will be 0, hello, second item will be 1 word, third item will be 2 this, and so on. Let's run it and see. See, we are printing the list, but it also has index along with it. So this is how enumerate helps us. We can also do is we can print all the even positions. So what we can do is if I mod 2 is equal to 0, we will print that on print every alternate words. See, hello, it skips world, it prints this, it skips is, it prints a, it skips good, and then this. You got it, right? So this is the syntax for loop. There's another loop called while loop. Let's look at that. Let's go back to our simpler example. We can do 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So this is a list, and how while loop works is how we write it is while, then we write a condition, which is, let's say, I is less than n. So what we'll do is n is equals to length of list. So what we have done here is that there is a block inside this, which is print, then we print I. The first thing here is we have not initialized I. Let's say I is equals to 0. So while I is less than n, let's say n is equals to 5. Let's take the simplest example. So n is equal to 5. So we want to loop 5 times. And this is the part where I'm explaining while block. So we start with a variable I, which is right now equal to 0. And this loop will keep on running till I is less than n, which is I is less than 5. So 0 is less than 5, so it will run, it will print I. Now we have to increment I. What's happening here, right? Let's do a dry run first. So initially I is equal to 0, while, so while this condition is true, it will keep on running again and again and again. And once the condition becomes false, it will skip and come out of this while block. So I is equal to 0, 0 is less than 5, so it is true, so it will print 0. Then I becomes 1 because I is equal to I plus 1. So 1 is less than 5, that is also true, so it will print 1, then it becomes 2. 2 is less than 5, it will print 2, and then it becomes 3. 3 is less than 5, it will print 3. It will become 4. 4 is less than 5, it will print 4. Now it becomes 5. You will go back. 5 is not less than 5. So while this condition becomes false, so it will not run the code inside the while block and get out of this, and the program ends. Let's run it. See, it exactly does how I explained it. Okay, so basically this is all about looping. As we see more and more examples, it will become clearer and easier to understand. Let's write a function which returns the sum of all elements in the list of integers. So how we start a function, we write def, then we write a function name, let's say it's called sum list, and then there's an input L, which is a list. So we want to add all the numbers. So let's have a variable which keeps track of the sum. So initially it is 0. Now I want to run a for loop. For item in L S is equals to S plus item. And then we will return S. So what have we done here, right? What we are doing here is that we will go through each item in the list, and each item in the list is assigned to this variable item, and then we do an S is equal to S plus item. So this S keeps summing up all the items in the list, and once we have gone through everything in the list, we will return the value. Let's look at it in action. We'll print the sum of the list. We'll call this function, and input is a list. Let's say my input is a list, but we need to create this input first so that we can pass the function. So my input is, let's say, 1, 2, 3. So as we can see that the sum list function is called on this input list, and it will return the sum of all the elements in the list and print it to the screen. So let's see. For example, in this example, the sum should be 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So it should print 6. Let's see that in action. Clear the screen, run it, and answer is 6. If I add one more item, 4, the answer should be 10. Let's run and see it's 10. right? So basically, function is a block of code, which is this part, line 2 to 5. And this block of code is kind of assigned a name, some list, and we can feed in the input, and the block of code is run on that input. So this is how a function is. A function is a block of code having a purpose. Whatever is run inside a block of code, all the variables should be in the scope of the function. If we try to use something which is not in the scope, it will give us an error. We'll look at it later, I guess. So this is it.